Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Sunday night episode of Third Man, presented by, of course, yours truly, DJ TJ, the podcast where I bring on two incredible guests every week to talk about what's going on in esports. And of course, who better to have with me as our fifth and sixth guests than Teeehan and Jobro. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing good.
Doing all right.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have y'all. Everybody here in this call has a very shared love for Rocket League and a lot of fun experiences with dealing with collegiate in general. So we're going to touch on a lot today, but a little bit just to kick it off for those of people in the chat or those listening at home who do not know who y'all are. Joe, I'll kick it to you. Give us a little intro about yourself.
All right, so I am the basically coordinator of UTK Rocket League. I'm like the club representative for the game, so I do pretty much everything you can imagine, from making the competitive teams, managing them, all that super fun stuff that I'm sure we'll get into as the podcast goes along.
And I'm Teeehan. I'm the Rocket League manager at George Mason. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, we obviously there's a lot more to what y'all do and your histories in the scene, and we will touch on that. But so both of you are obviously Rocket League managers, coordinators, whatever your school likes to call it. So I would love to hear a little bit about kind of how y'all got into your roles and kind of what your experience was like transitioning from going from player to leader. Teehan, got to get that misconception cleared up.
You're good,
Teehan,
brother. You're
I'll
good.
throw it to you, brother.
So I came to GMU in 2020. I know I'm ancient. I've been here, and I still probably got 2 more years left. But been working with the esports program for 4 years now. Started out as a player for the first 2 years, and then switched over to a manager role fall of, I think it was 22, I want to say. 23, 22, something like that. And yeah, started out working with Titanium, Devin, and Krazix, and after that semester, we lost Krazix. He didn't die or anything. He just left. But then Joshua came around, and I've been working with him as well the past 3 semesters, as well as Dev and Titanium the past 4. So yeah, it's been pretty fun. Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, what was the transition like from being a Rocket League player to then organizing and leading a very notable program in the scene?
It actually was pretty smooth, I would say. Just because I did know the players and I was working with the teams, before then. Um, Sorry, I blanked. What was the question again?
So going from a Rocket League player to then joining in as a
Okay.
leader, kind of what that
Uh,
whole process was like for you.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I gotcha. So, it honestly was, like I said, it was pretty smooth. Started out by just obviously talking to well, I'm not gonna say our nickname for him, but Titanium and Devin, and just talking to him, like, because actually the over that summer they were contemplating quitting, because just no interest for the game anymore. Our other third was about to graduate, and so we didn't really have another third come in. And then when Krazix came in to GMU, they sparked interest. I wonder why.
Yeah, we will
But
talk plenty about the mentality, but this is just a start.
no, yeah. But I mean, sure, when you have a former RLCS professional wanting to join your school, I mean, why wouldn't you want to continue playing? But yeah, I will say it was smooth, and then it was a little rough in some ways because obviously they knew of me, but did they respect me as a manager or a coach? Not as much, because obviously they're at the top of the game. I'm around GC2, so I'm not gonna have the best like coaching advice for them. So they didn't take it as serious, and I don't fully blame them. But obviously, as time went on, we've worked together enough to the point where they trust me, I trust them, and as long as we communicate together, then we're all on the same boat. So yeah, like I said, been pretty smooth.
Yeah, and so you've been in your role for, you said 2 years now, 3 years, 2.5, something like that.
2 years. This is finishing my 4th semester as the manager.
Okay, has it gotten easier or harder so far?
Some ways easier, some ways harder. Um, obviously I've worked with the same team 3 semesters now, so that part's been easy. I obviously like am going to know what to expect of the players because I know them so well. Um, we've had some challenges along the way, obviously. I mean, no team's going to be perfect. Especially this semester, we've had some flaws in tournament results, which obviously mental is going to get shocked if you're not performing to how you want it to be. So that part can always be a little rough, but other than that, like pretty smooth.
Yeah, very respectable. All right, Joe, I will now bring it over to you because I think your journey is a little more interesting because you're managing to balance both pretty well. Obviously, I'm gonna kind of meet right a little bit here, but Joe obviously winning 2 lands this semester, very impressive. One all the way in Cincinnati, and then one right in UTK's home base of Knoxville, and I'm sure that experience is something that we'll end up getting into. But with you being both a starting player, a team captain, and also managing Rocky League at UTK Esports, I would love to hear your perspective on kind of how you found yourself in that managerial role.
So last year I wasn't in the role because I was a freshman and I was new, and kind of when I got here, I didn't really plan on doing esports or anything. That just kind of like happened. I went to the meeting and was like, oh, I'll do this. Like this could be fun. I can meet some people, so why not? But when it got to the spring semester, my team at the time, which is a little different than now, we were still like getting good results. We won bluegrass boost battle, and I just kind of started doing things that like a club rep would do anyway. Because at the time we only had one, and it was just Hermes. So Hermes was like, "Why don't you just, or let me nominate you for the role, and if you want to just keep doing it, then you can keep doing it." So at that point, I just kind of fell into it naturally. Uh, and so obviously that continued into this year. And uh, it's not easy playing and doing all of that stuff at the same time. I won't lie, but I think it's a lot of fun still. And just getting to see, like, I guess when you're on separate teams, getting to see the people on the other teams grow as players and get a lot better, and you almost feel like you're kind of like a role model in a way. And I think that's like a rewarding experience. That's not even just about the game. I think it's just kind of cool, and I've always like found myself in leadership positions and whatever I'm doing, whether it was hockey or clubs in school, whatever it was. I just kind of like naturally gravitate towards those things. So it just kind of felt natural to take that step.
Yeah. What do you think about the way that you like what do you think about yourself that kind of naturally prepares you for said roles? Like do you think it's just something that you're just naturally like, "Hey, I want to do this," or is that something that had to be instilled in you?
I think my parents definitely instilled it in or into me quite a bit, because growing up it was always like, be a leader, don't be a follower. So you have to step up and just kind of get things done. And I think that's always how I've been. No matter what it is, I'm just like, I want to get this done. And if nobody else is going to do it, I'm going to do it. Uh, which sometimes is my own downfall because I'll take on way too much and try to do it all myself. Um, but that's just kind of how I'm geared as a person. So I think it definitely is a mixture of just naturally being that way and my parents from a young age always kind of instilling that into me.
Yeah, no, I think I'm definitely in a similar boat. That's why I wanted to ask because that's kind of my thing. My dad was always the head coach of my like sports teams, and I was never like incredible. Don't get me wrong, like playing like rec baseball or rec basketball, whatever it was. Like my dad kind of always led, and so I was just kind of like naturally wanting to be there. Teeehan, do you feel like there's anything? And this is kind of off topic, but I would just love to hear. Do you think there's anything in your childhood that led to you being a Rocky League manager?
Um, yes and no. I mean, so I played high school soccer and all that. And so my journey kind of started with that, like taking sports very seriously. At the high school level, I wanted to play collegiately. Didn't really get any offers besides one, which was in Massachusetts, and I'm not going to Massachusetts. I'm sorry, but no, but so then obviously came to GMU. Still wanted to do something. Found an interest for Rocket League. So started playing for their team, and then yeah, after just loving like just competition, I just wanted to take it to the next level. And I knew I couldn't do that as a player, so I wanted to get in there as a manager to uh, work with the next level. And thankfully, it's gotten me to where I'm here today.
Yeah, That's extremely respectable. Well, we'll back up from that for a second. So, obviously, both of you guys were involved as your average students before you were into your leadership roles, which is where my experience differs. Because when I came into this scene, I was kind of thrusted into the director slash president role. And so I kind of never got to quote unquote like enjoy just being in esports. So, what I really wanted to hear from y'all individually was your experiences in collegiate esports as a student. So before you took the leadership role, can I just your general opinion on collegiate as a scene? And then obviously we will probably end up breaking into collegiate Rocket League specifically from there. But I'll throw it back to you, Tian.
So yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, just being able to like represent the school, like it meant a lot to me. Especially like coming from high school, like I still wanted to represent the my school in some way. So I felt like I could do that in esports. Uh, as a student though, wasn't that much different to what it is now. Yeah, no. I honestly wouldn't say it's much different to be honest. Um I've always just like put myself into the program as much as possible. And found ways where I can help whether it was obviously play for the team, help the manager before me out in any way, casting for our school. But yeah.
Yeah, extremely respectable. What is GMU like? Because obviously, like I don't think a lot of us are extremely familiar with George Mason, but like what is it like?
So that's actually a great question. So the best way to put it is we're a commuter school. So we don't have a lot of we're a big school, like one of the biggest in Virginia, but obviously we're not as well known as say Virginia Tech, UVA, like some of the big names that are in like say the ACC conference and stuff. It also doesn't help we don't have a football team. We have a basketball team, but other than that, there isn't a lot going on. Like we still have like the fraternity life, sorority life, all that stuff. But it's not going to be as big as something like obviously Tennessee, where it's like, I mean, I mean, it's self-explanatory for the most part. But yeah. The big part that sucks about GMU, I will say, is the factor that we are a commuter school. Where if you don't know what a commuter school is, it's basically just one where it's not a school that a lot of people live on. Like it's not a people will drive from like 5 minutes away to like 45 minutes away to like go to the school. Kind of almost like a community college in a way, but like a more established community college is the best way I can put it. Um, I mean, I still love it here though. I do. I don't live on campus, but I live about like a minute or two away, in off-campus housing and stuff like that. But I still love it here. If you actually like, go on campus and stuff, there is a decent amount to do. There's decent food options. Um, it's not like a Fisher College where there's nothing really there, but
Oh man, I don't know if
yeah.
my name should be associated with Fisher anymore after the last 2 weeks, but we might end up touching on that later.
Oh yeah, no, but yeah. Other than that, I mean, GMU, it's it's all right. I'll say that it's all right. Out of 10, I'll give it a 6.2.
Okay. Before I go to Joe, I do want to ask: is there any other college that you think that you could have slash should have been at?
Um, so when I was first applying to colleges, like I said, my main goal was to play collegiate soccer. Didn't get the chance to, and after that, it was really just. I mean, GMU's 30 minutes from my house, so I just went with what was closest to my house, and my GPA was fine. SATs were fine, so I didn't even apply to any other schools besides GMU, because I knew I'd get in. So, not saying it's extremely easy to get into, but I had no other mm, besides Virginia Tech. I will say Virginia Tech is the only other one I did want to go to, just because it was like everyone's goal to get into either Virginia Tech or UVA. But at the end of the day, I chose what was closest to my house. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's about it.
Respectable for sure. Well, all right, Joe. Obviously, both mine and your collegiate experiences are quite different. than being at a community college. And so I kind of want to hear your experience over at UTK as a student. And then you mentioned that you got involved just by going to one of the meetings. I would love to hear more about kind of where your interest came in, because like me and Teehan had high school experience. And that's why I hopped in my role here at UGA. But as somebody who wasn't involved in that and then stepping into it in college, I would love to hear kind of what that process was like for you.
Yeah, so my high school did not have esports. I think we maybe had like a gaming club, but there was no one like semi-normal in it, so I wasn't like really down
True.
with all that. Um, so when I got here, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. Like I had kind of planned on rushing and going down that avenue because that's what most of my friends were doing. Um, but when I got here, I was like, I don't really know if I want to do all that, and that sounds like kind of scary to me because I'm not really an extroverted person, so didn't
It's an
didn't end up wanting to do
experience.
that.
I did go through
Yeah,
it, believe it or not. It is quite the experience.
yeah. But so when I got here, I kind of originally had planned on playing club hockey here, but once I kind of heard about their schedule and having to like miss football games and doing all that, I was like, I'm good because I want to be at those. Uh, so I was basically just looking for anything competitive to do. And I was walking through the hallway of one of our buildings, and there was a poster up that was like, "There's an esports meeting that you can go to." And I've always played video games all throughout high school, and I mean I was used to be probably better at Rocket League than I am now at one point. So uh, I was like, I'll like try out for this team and like maybe do that for a semester, meet some people, and I thought I was going to be done, but obviously that's not what happened. Um, but I think just that competitive itch is really what got me into it. And honestly, I kind of took it and ran with it because I met so many people so fast that I really liked and that I really got along with, who are now some of my best friends. And I think that's really shaped what my college life has looked like, to be honest with you. Obviously, I have friends from outside the club who are very different and not into it at all. But I think it's actually kind of fun having different friend groups to do different things with, where I can still have like the SEC experience, but I can also have kind of a smaller, like tight knit community like this. Uh, and I think it's honestly been the best choice I've ever made.
Yeah, amen to that. I mean, we've spent plenty of hours doing six mans with some of the southeastern guys over here,
Yeah.
and so no, I feel that. I mean, I literally was flipping between. I was two doors down at a friend's house, and then I ran back over here because we were talking about whatever was going on with the GSU boys. So no, I definitely I agree with that a lot. That's been a major part of my collegiate career too. Is just getting involved with y'all and getting to meet y'all through the SCL. I wish that Georgia would have joined last year. But regardless, I mean, I would like to consider that me and the UTK boys, we've all gotten to spend a lot of time together. We've gotten pretty close. Shout out my ginger brethren and Caden. But I know, I mean, it's been a blast, and then actually getting to see everybody in person and it not be weird because we're grown men who play a car soccer game. Like it's so weird how it all comes together. But I wouldn't change a thing. It's been incredible. Little cute moment to diverge from that, but obviously very different experiences. But y'all obviously have enjoyed the collegiate experience from what it sounds like. Teehan, one thing that off topic here, I didn't actually know that you played in high school. I would love to hear briefly about that.
Oh, are you talking about Rocket League or soccer?
Oh, did you not? Oh, I thought you were saying you played
No,
Rocket
no,
League
no.
in high school. Did you
Soccer.
have
Like,
esports at your high school?
no, actually, we did not.
Okay, did not know
Like I
that.
said, I am slightly a boomer. And literally, so I graduated high school my the COVID year, so 2020.
Dang!
Um, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Who
That's
said that?
crazy.
Who said that?
But no, but after COVID happened, that's when esports in Virginia became, or Virginia High School, like what is it called? VHSL or something like that.
Yeah.
Became very popular for esports. Basically to the point where I am checking, like yesterday I think they actually had the Virginia State Finals. And I've been checking the teams out and the players out for possible recruitment for GMU for the future.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I wish I got into Rocket League because it's actually funny for Virginia for Rocket League. high schools, there's not much talent, I'd say. Well, all right, that's no offense to them,
Well,
but
I'm with you
there's
here because this isn't crazy to say. Some states are stacked and some aren't. So the average rank in Georgia high school, like the top like 16, top 8, I think is
yeah,
around GC1, GC2. Where does Virginia stand?
I think we average there. Average is definitely in champ somewhere. It's
Okay.
like I'll be looking at the teams and it'll be like the top four teams will all be like in a I think the top one was like an SSL and then like a GC1 and a champ. The second and third were both like 1800s or both had one like 1800 or 1700. And then the rest was champs. Like it's quite literally what CRL was in 2019 is like what I like to say,
Yeah.
where it is a champ 3 league for the most part,
Are you
where it's like,
familiar with the legend of Tab High School, or was that was
is
probably
that
after
the
your
one
time?
is that the one where you and Buddy were together?
No, no.
Okay, no.
Tab is the Shaka who's over at UTK. That's why I wanted to bring it up. No, we were Dog Dynasty. Me and Buddy were. We were a dope team with a dope name.
All
Because
right,
Tab
Buddy.
had Tab had Diaz, who was like a bubble player, and then two like GC2, GC3 players
Yeah,
at the time.
FTM?
So
FTM
yeah,
here?
yeah,
yeah.
that one.
Really? Okay.
That was
'Cause
probably a year or two
I
after you. Wait, actually, would have been probably 2 or 3 years after you graduated. Maybe 2.
okay, because I know FTM is in Virginia. So where is this again?
It's called Tab High School. I'm not sure where.
All right,
I don't
no
live up there,
idea,
man. I'm just here.
all
but
good.
but I'm
Nah,
glad you mentioned recruiting because that's another thing that I was gonna bring up. This might end up being like a later thing after we finish talking about what's next. But like I'm traveling to West Georgia to go to the state championships most likely, so I can go meet like some teams and some programs. Say like, hey, like we are here. Like we're not offering hundreds of thousands of dollars, but we are a program with blank to offer. Um, so I'm curious, have you started meeting with high schools? Because that's something I started this year, and it's been a very weird change of pace.
yeah, I'm in that same boat where
Yeah.
it can be weird. So it's like I've actually only visited one high school so far because they held a tournament there for us. It was a little scuffed, I'll say, but
Dang.
it was with good intentions. It was with Okay, well, hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. This is why it was scuffed.
I'm
So
hearing.
basically, we me and so GMU was there, like all the Virginia schools. Harrisburg was even there.
Wow.
Got to talk to Nico there. Yeah, it was in like DC or something. So not too far from them, not too far for us. But yeah, so basically what happened was they hosted a 1v1 tournament where they at first we thought it was a regular 3v3 tournament with like high schools, like multiple high schools, but ended up just being like maybe 9, 10 high schoolers there to play in a 1v1 tournament. Some of them were very solid, but some others not so much. I mean, obviously that's how it's going to be. Um, but other than that, kind of like what you mentioned with the Georgia, like how you said you're going to West Georgia, right? Yeah, so like I said, the recent Virginia championship was hosted at ODU, which is like Southeast Virginia, by Virginia Beach, and it's about three-ish hours away, and unfortunately, I didn't end up making the trip. But yeah, for high school recruitment, it can be weird, like really weird, because it's like the other thing you got to worry about is obviously they are high schoolers, so they're gonna be on like high school times and all that. So trying to get them to possibly play later at night, like trying to try them out for obviously our teams can be weird because you're like, hey, can you like scrim at this time? And they're
Can you
like, no,
ask
it's a
your
school
mom?
night.
Yeah, can you ask
Yeah,
your mom
right,
if we can scrim?
right. Well, the other weird thing is some of them actually don't even have PCs. They just play on the PC setups at their school, which can be either really good or really bad from some I've talked to, where it's like some will be playing on 240 hertz setups. I'm like, okay, dang, they setting y'all up real
Which that's
nice.
also a blessing in disguise because I know many schools here in Georgia who have kids who are mostly playing from home,
Yeah.
instead of playing in labs. So that's crazy
Oh
to
yeah.
hear.
Oh yeah, which I think that's a great way for esports to be brought up at the high school level, which is something we can get into later on. But And then continuing on to that, like there's some others where I've talked to where this one player who's talking about coming here in like next fall or something that's around rank B. He was telling me that after high school, it's like 60 hertz monitors, like just
I believe
like
that.
Dell like office computers. It's bad, but
Yeah.
and the thing is, they actually force them to play at
Yep.
these labs.
Shout out Play
So
VS.
Ooh.
Yep.
so it's like
My favorite
yep,
company.
yeah. So it has its pros and it has its cons, obviously, but yeah, it's kind of like where CRL is. It has its pros, it has its
Yeah.
cons. Obviously, there's gonna be a gray area, but that's kind of
Which
where that's
Yeah,
at right
which
now.
I'll clarify too. Play VS is not the devil, but I do have mixed opinions on how that company runs their deals. But I do agree that teams should be in person. I don't think that's crazy to suggest at all. The main issue is that it's up to the athletic departments of the schools because obviously you have the side of I believe in somewhere around 25 to 30 states, esports is officially a varsity sport, meaning that schools can get funded for it. But it's a weird gray area where in some of the others where there's really nothing that you can do. Like if you want to play esports, you can, but then you have to do it on your own. Like, I mean, we originally ran a fundraiser where we sold old school tech equipment like projectors and sound bars and stuff. And that's how we funded our lab. But we still had to give 50% to the school. So it's a weird world of how high school works, but we will come back to that in a little bit. We're gonna get back in collegiate because it's obviously what we're all currently in the middle of. So we'll kind of bring it back to talking about collegiate Rocket League, and obviously, I know that UTK has 3 Rocket League teams, unless there's a fourth. There's 3, I think. Yeah, and
Yep.
then Teehan, you're working with is it 2 or is it 1?
Two. I at one point was working with five, and that was hell. But
Yeah, we're gonna
I'm sticking to
perfect
two.
because
Sticking to
I
two.
okay. We have 4 at UGA, so this is perfect. So that's what we're gonna talk about next. Is your favorite parts and your least favorite parts about collegiate Rocket League and managing it as a whole. Whether it's your own team, shout out shout out your teammates, or whether it's some of the lower teams trying to kind of make this weird divide between who's taking it seriously and who shouldn't be. Joe, I'll throw it to you to kick us off. But pros and cons of managing collegiate Rocket
Oh, there's lots of both. But
League.
I think like for me, managing my own team is kind of easy because like they're 2 of my good friends, and it's just like I can be like, hey, I can text them or Discord DM them whatever I need to do, and they'll respond, and we can just figure that out because I talk to them every day, so that doesn't bother me as much. But uh, definitely managing the other teams and like having players not show up or having just issue after issue that like are it's out of my control, but at the same time I like might have to do something about it is definitely a major con because I really don't want to have to like spend a bunch of my time
Yep.
handling issues that are not related to me at all.
That's
But that's
collegiate
just kind of
101.
yeah,
That's
you just
collegiate
that's
101
what you
right
got to
there.
do. Yeah. And I mean, I've had to deal with plenty of them at this point, and I never enjoy it, but it's what I signed up to do, so I have to. Um, I think, unfortunately, in the state this game is in, sometimes you have to deal with like poor mentals or like egos, stuff like that. Definitely are something that's just like continue to be an issue and continue to be problems. I've had to deal with that kind of stuff before too, even on my own team at a certain point, and I think that's never fun to deal with. But I think once you actually deal with it, it becomes a major pro because everybody really enjoys themselves. Um, and as far as like taking it seriously or not taking it seriously, I kind of just leave that up to each of the teams because for me, I don't have any right to tell a team of GC1s and Champ 3s like, oh, you need to be taking this super seriously and dumping a bunch of time into it because why should they? They're just having fun. So, I mean, I kind of just let them decide on their own how seriously they want to take it. Um, and I mean, sure, there's times with the B team because they can be competitive, but you just kind of have to take a step back and let them do their own thing sometimes. Because I can spend 100 hours trying to help them out, coach them, and same with everybody else on our main team. We try to help out as much as we can, but at a certain point, you just kind of have to let them do their own thing. Um, so it's kind of walking that middle ground between like being involved and not being too involved that is definitely difficult a lot of times.
Yeah, that middle ground of kids acting like adults and then adults acting like kids. I feel that 100%. Um, I wanted to ask about the seriousness because I've had teams that skill wise, if they are paired how they're supposed to be, um, then you'd have like a team of three GC3s, but two of them don't want to play competitively. One of the main things that I dealt with kind of coming in my freshman year, like at UGA, was that the Rocket League community had a really odd community where the A team was the only team who took it seriously at all. So there's no development. So the moment that the A team had one or two players come in, those other guys just didn't want to touch the game ever again. And so building culture in collegiate Rocket League and collegiate esports as a whole is something we could talk about for hours, but that's why I wanted to bring that up. Teehan, I'll throw it to you. Kind of obviously, you're as of right now managing two teams, but in your experience, kind of your pros and cons of managing collegiate Rocket League.
So, to get on to the topic of like managing like multiple teams, kind of like where you guys are at. Our A team obviously takes it very competitively, very serious. Our academy team like in the past has always like tried to keep it competitive. And then teams after that, they always do it for fun. And that's kind of why I am sticking with two teams is because if I get hit up by a group of people at George Mason that are full time students, that I know are also not going to cause issues in the program, I will be like, yeah, you guys can have a team. I'll just let them know, like, I'm not going to be working with you guys. My main focus is going to stick with our A team and B team here. And they respect that. The only issue I have with having multiple teams is that the only thing that we have currently is either CRL, which didn't happen this semester, NACE, which is not going to get into
Well,
right now.
yeah, we'll see.
Um, and the only other thing we play in is our conference league, called the Mid Atlantic Esports Conference. Best teams in there are like us, ODU, and Nova. All rank B rosters, and such. Um, and yeah, it's like after that there isn't really many other competitions. Um, I'm actually looking to possibly create a league, kind of like what you guys have actually, with the SEL. I think that's super dope, and I think it allows for a lot more divisional rivalry, regional rivalry. And so I was talking with Nico actually, from Harrisburg, and I think I'm possibly going to look at creating something like that for like say the Northeast, and we'll see what goes from there. But
Yeah,
yeah, because with how many leagues we play in, which is like basically nothing, it doesn't really give our academy team like anything to play in or any teams or anything other than our Patriots. Like the teams lower than our Patriots, just they can only do NACE from what we have available. So it's a little unfortunate. Um, but yeah, so and then moving on to the topic of like managing our Patriots team. Um, it's been a blessing and a curse at the same time is the best way to put it if I'm being honest. It's like there will be days where it'll be extremely fun to work with them, because everyone's good vibes, we're playing really good. And then there's days where it's like we're not on our A game. I think the best example of that is the Boost on the Beach tournament, where not our tournament whatsoever, especially after being the defending champions and playing against many of the same teams that were there the previous year, and just losing to them. I think the biggest defeat was probably to Syracuse and getting reverse swept and getting scored on in
yeah.
4 seconds.
Getting to watch that in person was interesting to say the least. But also, to y'all's credit, that was a Boost on the Beach tournament that was severely more stacked than last time
Oh,
around too.
100%.
So
100%.
gotta
Like,
roll with the punches.
if we're being honest, I mean, no one expected us to go in there and win. I mean, realistically, I knew we weren't going to go in there and win, but I still thought we could have possibly made a run for some money and possibly, with the names that we have on our team, I would think that we should be able to make a good run. But is what it is. I mean, like I always tell them, like, hey, there's tournaments where we will play our A game and show people why we are a top 48 team in the country. In fact, I think we are definitely better than top 48. But that's only if we're on our A game, unfortunately, and our consistency just hasn't been there, especially this semester. And then obviously there's tournaments like Boost on the Beach where it's like shit will hit the fan. But the thing is that I try and tell my boys is that shit happens and you just need to learn how to adapt and learn to pick your head up after a loss like that because it happens. It happens to everybody. In collegiate. Like even to the Northwoods where well maybe not that past semester. Northwood just I don't know. They can be the top. They're the most consistent team, but everyone else is very capable of having inconsistencies. Like we saw with at that tournament where we saw Ole Miss and I think it was West Virginia where Ole Miss in the group stage beat West Virginia and ended up not even placing top 3 where that's where they got money. So which was also unfortunate because they drove 15 hours. So
Yeah, well,
that's just like
that's a whole other thing. I mean, that right there is just esports in collegiate 101. Ole Miss was supposed to have a flight that was going to take them obviously from Mississippi to Myrtle Beach, and then it just ended up being an absolute mess. And they drove in the middle of the night, 15 hours in a van. So shout out to
Yeah.
Warhood, by the way. That's their director who did that.
yeah,
Also,
mad respect.
for those of you who are listening from Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you're listening from, you're missing out because it's also RLCS night, and all three of us are watching RLCS on our side monitors right now. I just watched NRG absolutely nail one top right to take the lead in Game 5. I believe Rizzo's team didn't make it. I think they got eliminated.
Dig just scored. Tie game.
Oh my God. Okay, well, we'll get back on topic while we're watching this, but
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't even been watching it this entire time.
but if you're not here live on Twitch, you're missing out. Twitch.tv/DJTJRL. If you're listening from Spotify, you're still cool, but you're a little lame because then you don't get to ask viewer questions, which is at the end of the podcast. So definitely
True.
should be here for that next time. Again, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. DJTJRL. So I'm glad you brought up leagues because, oh my God, has this semester been miserable in terms of drama with leagues. So, Joe, before we break into that, I want you to talk about what UTK plays in, and then we're going to talk about leagues.
All right, so we this semester just played in SEL and NACE, which SEL I love, and I don't really have anything bad to say about SEL. I'll be honest. I love the director Fred.
Amen to
I
that.
love everybody.
Shout out
there.
Fred. W. Fred.
They're all awesome. NACE, I hate it. I'll just be blunt. I don't
There
like
we
it.
go.
I don't enjoy it.
Yep.
Half the teams we played were absolutely horrible, and then we, once you get to playoffs, it's a little more fun because you're playing like decent teams. But
yeah.
When there's no prize pool, it just kind of seems pointless.
And you're talking about because you guys played an open premiere.
Yeah.
Okay, us too.
So, because I mean, we're not an NACE school and we're not varsity, so I mean, that's all we can play in.
Yeah.
I mean, we enjoyed it and it was fun just to get to play more games, but like, it just felt a little pointless in the end, I guess. But I have nothing but good things to say about SEL though, and I'm really excited to get to go to LAN there and have a good time.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree there. No, SEL's been great. I mean, that's something. UGA is currently competing in CCS. We actually, the moment that NACE announced their pricing change, we dropped out the day after. So we kind of immediately went on strike there. Yeah, NACE I share very similar and strong opinions about. That's an opinion that I've held for the last year now, and if you've been following my Twitter, you've seen plenty of stuff about that. And then, of course, it all comes to an absolute bullying point, as I can't even say words. That's how mad I am about this. NRG to score, by the way.
Yeah.
NRG beats Dignitas in Game 5 OT. All right, now I can close that out. But yeah, one of my big issues is NACE is massive. And I understand that esports is kind of slowly moving away from the age of free participation. But for those of you who are unfamiliar, you would have to pay over $200 per team that you put in NACE starting next semester. Per team. And unless you are a full varsity program, even if you are a varsity program, it is very hard to justify spending the money on more than your A team. Because I think the exact prices are somewhere around the range of like I think 190 for your Open Premier team, and then for Open Plus it's like 150, 140 each. And with all due respect, I'm not spending $140 on my Champ 3 team. Like it's just ridiculous. And then of course, and chat already kind of knows what's coming here. And then of course it all comes to a point with Fisher, which I look. My tweets have already been viewed 100,000 times. I don't feel like dealing with it. But the students, I feel for. I feel terrible for the students, but I understand why Nate's has to make a point. Um, I mean, I'm gonna let y'all talk a little bit on this. You don't have to if you don't want to. I've already put myself in the middle of it, so I have nothing to lose. But Teehan, you've been around the scene a little more. I would love to hear your opinions on these major leagues and especially the Fisher situation, if you want to comment on it.
Oh, of course, of course.
Okay, cool.
So all right, I'll actually dive deep into me.
Ooh,
So we're talking 2020 when I came in as a player. So um, it was actually not that bad. To the point it is now. I will say over the years it has actually, I would say, probably gotten worse. And it's also with that comes it's very political is what I also like to say, with how stuff is run there. So basically 2020 2021 it wasn't NACE, it was CSL, which I
Collegiate Star
forget.
League. Yep.
Yes, yep. And so that was all right. They had a team league, a B team league, and a C team league. That was it. I don't know the exact cost of everything. I still think you may have had to be members. I wasn't exactly sure.
Do you
Um
know about pricing? Because that's one of the big hot topics right now.
I don't remember the
Okay.
pricing from back
I will do
then.
some research while you're talking, but you can continue.
You're good, you're good. But yeah, I will say I enjoyed it a lot as a player, because I think our B team when I was on it, it was a team consisting of like GC2s, and we were in like the B team league, and it was super fun because it was basically people at that level where it was like every school's B team. And they kind of have something similar to NACE now, where in Varsity Plus, I don't know about Open Plus. I'm very familiar with Varsity. I'm not as familiar with the Open.
You don't need to. Don't worry.
Besides Open Premiere, I know Open Premiere. Um, but what was it? Varsity Plus now has a thing where it will line your team up with other teams that are even. So it's like you'll play the top 8 best teams in the in Varsity Plus, where it's like SSL or lower or something. And then there's another division where it's GC3 or lower or something like that. Where it's actually slightly worth playing because it's actual competition. Um, but with how Varsity Premier is, it's an open premiere at the same time. It's the same boat where it's just you're playing mostly champs to low GCs the entire season. You may play one good team that has an SSL or two, but that's at most what you're getting. And the only way else you're finding competition is if you are in that I think the super conference or whatever it's called. That or the Division 1 conference that they have where it's like Boise, Michigan State, ODU, forget who else is in it. Oh, they got the Southern Miss team in that with
Yes.
Melodic as well.
Uh-huh.
Um, but other than that, those are the two divisions that were worth playing in. And if you're not in it, it's not even worth because you're playing, like I said, you're playing champs the entire season. And then you go into playoffs and you play maybe one or two matches that mean something. And the first match, sure, you may win that. Second match, you'll play a team like Northwood, which that's exactly what happened to us. I want to say we're in the spring semester, right? Yeah. So last fall, is what happened. We played not that many good teams. Our last match had two SSLs. They were all right. still were able to get by them. And then we play, I forget who we played. It was some lower level team that made playoffs. Then we played UCF, who we beat 4-1, which was a really good win for us. And then we played Northwood and finished top 8. And we were like, well, what else are we supposed to do? So I don't know. Nace has its ups and downs, and looking at how it's gonna be for next year, I'm just not looking forward to it at all. I
Yeah.
mean, that's why I sat my A team out this semester, because like I said, they weren't gonna be in that top division, so it was just not gonna be worth the time.
Yeah.
And
That's why we
obviously,
dropped out too.
yeah, I mean, the other thing is, I mean, it's not like you're gonna get money as well. Like
Yep.
we did open premiere the semester before, and compared to the open semester that is like or open premiere that is this season, where I think the top teams were UTK, IRSC, and I think Columbia was in it, right?
Yeah, it's
I don't.
very, very odd who plays in varsity and who plays in open. We played open
Yeah.
premier, got first in our group, and then got seeded into Fisher second round. So
Mm.
I've seen some very odd, like unironically, I think 10 or 11 of CRL's top 16 play an open premier and not varsity premier. So I don't know
Yeah.
what NACE is doing because they're not getting the best of the best,
Yeah, and I mean that also just comes with schools wanting to like be in or like actually put money to be a varsity program. So
which
that's
is
really what
rare.
it comes down to, which is unfortunate. That the only league that really says who the best of the best is CRL, where it's like you look at say CVal for example, they have CVal, they have the Red Bull Campus Clutch.
Yep.
I want to say they have one more, but I just can't think of it right now.
I'm
I could
pretty.
be
You
wrong
might
though.
still be thinking of Red Bull because they do regionals and like nationals. So they
Yeah,
do. The Red Bull does a lot in Valorant.
exactly. But still, they have two different leagues that like can show you who the best of the best are. For us, it really is only CRL, and while CRL has a lot of I can't think of the word, but it's up there. It's one of the best like collegiate leagues for all video games. Um it just that's all we got, unfortunately. And
Yeah.
that's why you look at CVal, they're now probably bigger than CRL. I mean, especially with CRL not existing this semester. Um but it really is just unfortunate that CRL just doesn't have a lot to offer right now.
Yeah.
And yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. I was gonna throw some context on what you were saying. So I did a little bit of research while you were talking. CSL's last major season, at least what shows up on the Rocket League Wikipedia, for example, was 2019, with a $10,000 prize pool, which is really impressive. But then listen to this: first place is only 3,000, second is 1,800, third and fourth get 1,000 each, and then the prizing goes all the way down to top 16. And if you look at some of the schools who got this money, there is literally two B teams who made top 16. And this is 2019. So I don't need to say much more than that. And then here's what NACE. So then NACE officially takes over. And if you look at NACE, they didn't even have a funded playoff. They had a funded fall cup, but it wasn't even prize money. It was placements in the CRL wild card in
Mhm.
2020. So NACE, the legitimacy, in my opinion, just has fallen off year by year. And what I really want to know, and this is another collegiate conversation that I'll probably save for a different round of guests, but where does this money go?
I
Seriously,
can tell you.
if
I
it's
mean,
not going
Mostly.
back, if it's not going back to the teams, because I don't even think the varsity premier's prize pool is more than like 10,000 a game. And if that's the case, and you have schools paying thousands per semester, and you're claiming to have hundreds of member schools, and with all due respect, I don't believe that the site costs that much to run. I wonder how much people are making off of this, because
A lot.
it's very, very odd. And this is also a separate conversation for another time. But the corruption that I worry about in some of these leagues, because this is another point that you were bringing up, Teeehan, talking about the different leagues and how we don't have a lot. Now that Collegiate Rocket League is finally getting support, I'm very happy. But at the same time, look at the owners of these leagues, and where is a single publicly funded group? Almost everything is officially ran privately now, other than CRL. So I don't think we're in the wrong hands per se, but it is extremely fragile right now because with one wrong person, that could knock out an entire region. Like, obviously, the Northeast, y'all are looking at something. If you need casters, I'm right here, by the way. Don't you dare forget about me. But like with the SEL, we have a very we're blessed to have such an incredible like funded company. Shout out HSV Gaming Oasis, and also Red Bull for sponsoring and all of our other amazing, incredible workers. But like we're lucky to have a competent group that knows what they're doing and that's transparent and that goes from there. But I look at Nace, and again, I'm gonna go bring up Fisher again because if you read that Fisher statement, that is a multi-million-dollar group that the best they can say is Fisher doesn't align with our missions. So that is, I worry about that a lot. And again, that's more of a, I'm not here to point fingers at the Illuminati of Collegiate Rocket League, no matter who might be controlling it, but we'll keep moving on there. So I'll step back and we'll talk about another league. So CRL. It's gone.
Yep.
Absolutely vanished this year. But there is still rumblings that Zero Worlds is still supposed to happen. I'm not sure exactly how legitimate that might be, but from what I've heard, it's very possible. Which means that it would be going solely off of the fall.
Wait, rewind. From this year?
Fall of this
Like,
school year.
Okay, so Zero War.
We're talking about
Yeah.
worlds that would happen after this spring.
Yeah, so you think they're still going to do it, like...
From what
Yeah.
I have heard, I believe that there is a solid chance that Sierra World still happens.
I don't. I'm gonna be
Which
real
is
with you, I
fair.
don't.
Which is totally fair.
No,
Because
and-
here's the
and-
fun part. Because this is what we're about to talk about too.
Okay, yeah.
So this is the weird part. Because if you really want to draw this out and you want to go minute by minute, second by second, how does this work? We're talking that you'd have to take the top blank teams from the fall, and then it would be a open qualifier most likely to play CRL Worlds, which I think is miserable. But knowing CRL, knowing who is now the owners of CRL, which is Blast, I can't say I'd be surprised if that's how it ends up. But I'll let you go for it, Teeehan.
So, okay, this is why I say it won't. It is so short notice that we still haven't gotten anything for it, and this would be in a month and
Yeah, it'd be in 2-3
week?
months. Yeah.
because it would be at DreamHack Dallas, like they've done at the previous two.
You're right.
So, which DreamHack Dallas, for those that don't know, is late May to early June. So
It's the last week of May.
We're-
Yeah.
we're talking about 40 days. So that's not enough time for everything to be put together. So that's why I think that Serial Worlds isn't happening this year whatsoever. For next year, I'm curious to see what happens. Obviously with the NECC pickup. I don't have any experience in NECC. I don't know if either of y'all have played in NECC.
Nah, that's a
before.
varsity league that we don't have money for.
Yeah, see, that's another thing. GMU contemplated playing in NECC compared to NACE because we were not liking how NACE has been handling it, and so we thought about playing in NECC, but just backed off of it. So I don't have any. I've heard mixed opinions on it. Our friends at Nova actually despise it. So I'm a little scared to see where CRL is headed.
Yeah, that's
I
reasonable.
don't know if y'all want to comment on
I'll
that.
let Joe give his thoughts there.
I mean, personally, I'm all for that open qualifier because I would love to play it.
That's
Like,
fair.
You
you're
better
gonna
be ready by
super
next week.
selfish.
You better be
Gonna
ready by
be
next
super
week.
I
selfish
think
about it.
everyone would. I think
Yeah.
everyone would.
I
but-
think, yeah. I mean, personally, I'm rooting for that. I'm sure the teams that are already made CRL in the fall are like, oh no, please don't do that. Which from their perspective makes sense.
Well,
But
some
I
of them
also
would probably already get the vet in. I would imagine
Yeah.
the top 4 or maybe 6 or something. I'd imagine they'd already get in, but I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, you would think so, but I mean,
Yeah.
I also just don't think it's happening either.
Yeah.
I think it's like you were saying, it's such short notice that unless they decided to do their own venue after DreamHack Dallas, that would be like the only way I could see that going down. So I don't think it's happening, but
Yeah.
I would love to play in that open qualifier.
Which I will say I don't think it's potentially ruled out only because we're with Blast now. So Blast, obviously, they're running their Rocket League. I believe Blast is running 3 World Championships back to back. I think the CS Major and the Rocket League World Championship are both in the same place back to back weeks. So I'm not putting it out because I'm not surprised if like Rocket League gets thrown into a tandem with something else. But also, this has been the exact same conversation that Twitter has had for the entire semester. Is that, oh, it's January, okay, cool. It's February. Okay, cool. It's
I will say-
March.
I
Okay.
will say it is very easy to farm impressions off of that.
Yeah. I mean,
Nice.
I'm a direct byproduct of collegiate Rocket League drama, so I won't complain.
Yep.
Yeah, no. So that's yeah. I agree with y'all. I would love for it to happen. A, because there's probably a pretty high chance I get asked to cast that, so I would love that on my resume. But B, I would also there's so many talented teams, and like I love Dart and I love the colleague team, but I hate it that our biggest tournament of the year had less than $1,000 of prizing. I love Dart. I know how hard it is to run an online tournament like that, and I haven't done any better. But I hate it that if you want to look at right now, you want to rank the best teams, that right there, I think is the only tournament that you can go off of this entire semester. Because every other LAN or every other league, someone's missing. There's an asterisk somewhere. I mean, with the SCL, like we've been showing a lot of talent this year, but we are also one of the most underdeveloped regions in the space. We're very fortunate that Ole Miss finally woke up and decided to start putting money forward. Missouri's in the same boat. And then I would imagine that hopefully UTK will get something soon, depending on how well y'all will probably do next year or this summer. We'll see. I've talked to the y'all's director a little bit. I have hope, but we will see. And then obviously I have no hope for UGA unless we get externally funded by somebody. But who knows at this point? But yeah, no. So we will see how it goes. So okay. Let's move to Summer Series then, because that's something that is 1,000 times more likely. And I'm intrigued to hear kind of y'all's opinions on how you'd want that to look, because this is now going to be the biggest comeback for Collegiate Rocket League probably ever. I don't think we've ever had a full almost year break of just nothing. So I'm intrigued to hear what y'all would want to see in Summer Series. Obviously, Teehan, you have experience in working with CRL before. And then, Joe, this would be y'all's first ever appearance in a major tournament for UTK. So I'm going to throw it to Teehan first. Kind of your ideal, like, format, top whatever, prizing. I just want to hear your, like, vision.
So I really liked how they did it my first semester here, or it was even before. I was working with Krazix, Titanium, and not even Titanium. Titanium took summer off. Krazix, Devin, and JK. And basically what happened is they had 2 qualifiers where top 16 in each qualifier made it to a forget what it was called. Hold on, give me 1 second. Just one second.
How dare
Oh,
you stall my podcast?
Okay, so it went from a you qualified for another qualifier basically, where it was a play-in where top 12 made Division 1, next 12 made Division 2, and then I think let me see. The bottom 8 were not in it. So I feel like that's the fairest way of maybe not the fairest way of determining who's Division 1, who's Division 2, but that's the fairest way I think of including the most amount of teams into Summer Series. And I've actually wanted them to possibly implement that as a way of getting into CRL, where they have a kind of like a play-in thing like that as well. Like you qualify for a play-in instead of it just being a one-day luck thing. Um, Maybe not luck, but some teams have good days, some teams have bad days. But that was my ideal way of how Summer Series went, and then it was kind of like a league play thing, like how the fall and spring is. So that was really fun. We made Division 1. It was really fun to work with, and how they did last year was very, very sloppy, in my opinion. Um, I The only reason I say that is because of the random teams. I don't know if you guys were aware of what happened with the previous summer series.
I was not. No.
Okay, so basically what happened is you had two qualifiers again. So that was normal. And then if you qualified, it was top 64 qualified for summer series. So a big group of people. And after that, it was you randomly got put into groups, like not by seed or anything. So you could have both Northwoods in the same group or something like that, which thankfully that didn't happen. But I believe there was one group where it was disgusting. It was like we're talking Boise was in it, Oklahoma Christian was in it, Akron Gold was in it, and I think the fourth was Virginia Tech, who was a pretty solid team. But they just got screwed over because I mean, you have two national championship contender teams right there, and funny enough, OKC was the third team in the group and didn't make the playoffs. Akron Gold, I believe, actually made it through. Um, and yeah, that part was a little iffy. I mean, I also had PTSD from that because we ended up beating Syracuse in a Game 5 overtime and didn't save the replays and then had to replay the entire series because of it.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
they even vouch for us. It's just how CRL happens. I mean, at the time, obviously I'm heated, but we knew it going into it, so that's on us. Um, but yeah. So how they ran that, it was very, very weird when it came to group play. Playoffs then it was if you made top two in your group, you're into playoffs. If you didn't, you're out. And then for playoffs, it was pretty self-explanatory. I believe it was all best of sevens. And it was actually if you won one series in playoffs, you got tags for summer series. Which in the past, I think it's only been top 8 or something, and that was like top 16 teams got tags. So
Which
some
for
teams got.
collegiate, I don't think it's that ridiculous.
I mean, yeah. Yes and no. The issue is that I have with it is that it summer series. Thankfully, they give tags for, but they're just copy and paste tags. They only either have summer series elite or summer series champion. That's about it. So instead of like a contender, elite, something like that, which I do think that at the very least it should be probably top 16, top 32, because obviously summer series is a lot easier to get into than say regular CRL. But that's my experience with summer series. Like I said, I genuinely think if they brought back that Division 1, Division 2 league, it would be amazing. The only thing I've heard in the past is it is absolute hell to be an admin for because obviously you have uh 12 teams in Division 1 in East, 12 teams in Division 2 East, 12 teams in Division 1 West, and 12 teams in Division 2 West. So
Yeah.
that is a lot of teams to work with. So I understand why they switched it up, but last year, but how they ran it was not the best.
Yeah.
So
Do you want to hear how many groups there were in last summer series?
16.
I believe you're actually spot on. Yeah, you are. You are spot on. It was
Yeah.
16 groups. Obviously, with what I believe was 4 teams in each group. So yeah, so 64 teams, and that's a complete mix-up. No matter if you're Western or Eastern. I don't believe there was any sort of seating based on that. So
Oh, East and West was combined. Yep.
yeah, which I'm gonna be honest, I think that's a better move because, and I'm gonna be
Yep.
honest, call me a hater, the East is better than the West, and I don't
By
think
far.
that's not crazy to say at all.
I would not
Um,
say by far now. I would
Well,
not
yeah,
say
they
well,
by
have
far
some
it's
now.
better
getting
teams
better.
now.
It's getting
They
better.
have some better
In
teams
the
now.
past, yes. Now,
Yeah.
But I do
But
think that
yeah,
everybody being in the same now with central servers being an option,
exactly.
I'm very excited to see how they use that. Because I'm forgetting what was the merger deal. It was eFuse, was it NECC, and then who was the third?
CCA.
CCA.
It was CCA. Yeah. So putting all of them together, I'm intrigued, but I'm also a tad worried because I would pray to God that summer series stays the same. and that it's open and you qual and you go through that and it's not some crazy cost barrier, so on, so on. But with NECC getting involved, there's two options that I feel like they're either going to take this. I feel like they're either going to run this major tournament, then put a major cost wall behind it, or a major paywall behind it, or they're going to try and take NACE's spot, which personally, as a school that doesn't get a lot of money, I would love to see them open a free league. But obviously, again, like I mentioned earlier, I don't see the profit behind many of that anymore, as esports is obviously continuing to grow from the professional side, but the collegiate side is hit or miss depending on where you're looking. Like, because even UTK, like I feel like Joe, I feel like y'all can make a strong case for potentially one of the, like I'd say y'all are easily probably top 3, top 4 Southeast. I think that's easy.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to say if you're not pushing for one. I'm mainly thinking of Ole Miss and Bruton Parker, but I know I'm forgetting some other high-level team. I don't think Missouri beats y'all, but I think that's not a bad game to put up there, I guess. I see someone saying Buds at GSU. I don't know if you watch Voland Grand Finals, but we're just going to walk past that one. Oh, Southern Miss. Thank you, Shaka.
Yeah, Southern Miss.
I think they're also up
UCF
there.
UCF would be a good shout too.
I don't think they're top 4 though.
Yeah.
I think
top
they've
4.
in the
Who's your top
Southeast?
4? Who's your top 4?
In no
all of
particular order. Give me also Ryan saying watch UGA Volan run is crazy when y'all are mechanically and on paper a way better team than us. Sorry, I had to get that out. So with my top 4 in no order, give me Ole Miss, UTK, Southern Miss, and Bruton Parker. I think that's reasonable.
Oh, real quick, did Bruin Parker lose?
Oh, sorry,
a player?
Kennesaw State is in that conversation
Kennesaw,
too.
yeah.
I think Kennesaw State's better than UCF. I think UCF
Yeah,
falls.
definitely.
Oh, that's
I think
fair,
UCF.
that's
I
fair,
think
that's
top
fair,
8
that's
for UCF. I think that's reasonable.
Oh, 100%.
I don't even
agree.
know what their roster is anymore, though.
It's
'cause-
Is UCF
Surreal,
not banger in them?
Nanopoison. No, that's USF.
Oh, my bad.
UCF is Surreal, Nanopoison, and Reeves.
Oh, okay. I know Surreal and Reeves. I'm not familiar with Nano.
Nano's also Nano and Surreal are B plus. Reeves I think is just B, but he's still solid. So
Sounds like you need to be hitting B plus soon, Joe.
No, thanks. I'm good.
Hey, maybe in
I-
Toby's 6-mans,
still have
right?
him up there.
Yeah, Toby 6-mans, I got that. I got it.
But yeah, no, that's a totally fair, totally reasonable point. Yeah, I don't know how I'd want it to be, because like this is a lot to ask for. A 16 team group stage is a lot to ask for, and then when you get to the championship, it is literally just single elim, which like
Yep.
also isn't a miserable format. But like watching the colleague tournament this year, and this is in no disrespect to the way that it was seeded, because I love Dart in them, but like I feel like that because of many Eastern and Southeastern and even some Western schools, because of them kind of being out of the colleague rankings a lot more, I think a lot of us were misseeded and like misplaced. So I think a lot of us haven't even gotten the chance to really play yet. And so that's the only reason why I worry about a summer series single elim, because even if a school, like let's say the UGA makes a wonder run into group stage, and then we get into a group with like UTK, UCF, and then what's another like middle bottom? Let's just throw Buzz at GSU in the middle of the pack. Let's just throw them in there. Like those are very, very solid teams. I'm not calling GSU mid. I'm not calling GSU mid.
Till
I'm
it's not
saying
having it.
I'm saying in the grand scheme of things, y'all are not like Lion Blaze and company, and you don't have a crisp. So
Hey,
True.
all I'm gonna say is the one team GMU beat that weekend at Boost was GSU. So I don't know, man.
I would love to
Don't
see.
say
I would
it,
love
don't
to
say
see
it.
Monk hit B plus. I would love to see Monk hit B plus, and I think that would change a lot of people on GSU's mind. Yeah, GSU does have a point. GSU's fighting in Twitch chat right now. To all the Spotify listeners who have no idea what's going on, I'm sorry. You're just gonna have to come to Twitch more often. But okay, but back to the main point. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know what the dream format is. And Joe, I'm not sure if you listed yours yet. I don't think, unless I just missed it.
No.
Do you have like a
I-
preference?
I honestly I like the mixing the regions and doing 64 teams. I just think they have to do it the right way.
Mhm.
Because, like you were saying, I think that it just wasn't well ran last time. So you can't do randomized seating. I don't think that's going to work. Putting people in random groups, nobody's going to be happy with that. I mean, I get it, like for content's sake, like they did with SEL, but I just don't think
Two
it's the
very
best.
different
Yeah,
competitions, though, as
yeah,
well.
exactly.
Yeah.
I just don't think that it's the right thing to do for that big of a competition. So they definitely messed up there, but they can kind of fix that reputation of that event if they do it right the second time. So I would love to see that format again.
Yeah, I will say the good things about the single event that I'm looking. Northwood Blue got out second round in Summer Series last year, and like that's just one of many upsets. We live in a world where St. Edwards almost 4-0'd their way through 4 straight rounds, and then they got 4-0'd by West Virginia. That's also the same side of the bracket where you had West Virginia, Akron, and Northwood B and Columbia all on the same side versus Ole Miss, Boise State, and Northwood Blue, who are in the same quarterfinal side of things. So I don't know. It's so weird. I'm gonna be honest, and Joe, you know this from experience. You just can't seed collegiate.
Oh no,
You just can't.
it's impossible. It's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, shout out the hashtag Joe LTO at Voland comments, but no, like it's hard. I mean, I'm even because I'm running things here in Georgia with our Georgia Esports League and seeding teams. I didn't get it right either. Like it's just impossible. And even for colleague, I mean, we didn't have too many crazy upsets, but like some of those first round matches, like we had some forfeit. I believe Akron forfeited, and
Yep.
nobody knew. So some random like 62nd, 61st seed like made a run because then their second round team was also goofy. Like it's just collegiate 101, man. I don't know. But anyways, we are kind of yapping. So I will bring things back here. We've talked about a lot of different topics, so I am going to open up the floor for viewer questions. So we're going to slowly bring things to a close here. So I'll give everybody a little bit to bring in their viewer questions. I'll kind of let that thing go. Here's your random question of the day to both of y'all while we're waiting on viewer questions. Favorite song as of right this moment? I'll start with you, Teehan.
Let me pull up the Spotify.
All right, Joe, goes to you then.
I'm also pulling up the Spotify.
Okay,
That's a tough
all right,
question.
back to Teehan.
Alright, chill. Gotta pull up the like songs.
Viewers, get your questions in.
I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. I've been on the Tekka and the Kid Leroy
On
lately.
the Tekka, okay.
Pause. Yo.
I respect. No, I respect. Hey, we don't discriminate.
Shoot. 500 pounds by Lil Tekka. We'll go with that.
Okay. Joe, you got one?
Yeah, I'd have to go with right now I've been on a little mix of a Kaleo and a Greta Van Fleet grind.
Yes.
So I'd probably go with either I Can't Go On Without You by Kaleo, or I've honestly had Heat Above from by Greta Van Fleet
Yes.
as my top song like the last 3 years. So we'll just go with that one.
That's totally reasonable. It's a great song. All right, well, let's start with viewer questions. So I'm going to kick this to Teehan first. If y'all got to play for an org, who would you choose?
Ooh, like professionally?
Yeah.
Okay.
To play for an org.
Oh, I'd have to say Cloud9. Just because when I first got in the Rocket League, it was Cloud9. It was squishy. It was, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Season 6. Heck yeah. That's
definitely
totally
Cloud9.
reasonable. All right, Joe, what about you?
I mean, it's G2 all the way. It like JNaps and G2 is what got me into G2. I'm still the biggest G2 fan in the world, no matter what roster it is. So it's G2 hands down for me.
I'm gonna pop in this. I honestly think I don't know. I think I balance between a few here. I loved NRG so much watching RL Esports like when I was in high school getting into the game competitively. I really rock with Space Station just because of the way they run their program and like they also like have some awesome teams. I do think though for me I think it's still Cloud9. Cloud9 seems to have actually scratch that. Put me on FaZe.
That's a good
bring
pick.
bring
That's a good
FaZe
pick.
back. I'm sorry. That's too infamous for me to pass up. It would have to be one of the like core 3 though. Like it would have to be Optic, Cloud9 or FaZe in my opinion. Just cuz of the story behind those orgs, but
Wait. I'm gonna change my answer.
Oh, okay. All right,
Like,
double back.
okay, if we're talking about like all-time org, sure, Cloud9. But if we're talking about one right now, like some bias in there, but like Shopify,
Okay.
dude, bro. Memory will be coming home to our apartment, and he'll be like, yeah, like Shopify gave me this. I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Like,
Like everyone said really good things about them. Like everything they've done.
As bad as the drama's been in professional esports, there's only a very select few orgs who have really like screwed it up, and that is mainly G1 and Cloverity.
yep.
Cloverity
Which,
wasn't that
speaking
bad.
of-
G1's was terrible.
G1's is really bad.
Yeah, Cloverity actually made the regional. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Oh my god, with
Yeah,
what roster?
it's like
Is that
Nightya,
Scythe in them?
Lev, and
Nightya, Exerari, and JD. They beat. Oh my god, they beat my boys, bro. T-Krill, T-Var, and Talk, and Devin.
Imagine
No,
losing
not
to your
Devin.
former org. Shout out T. Carell, by the way. Really nice guy.
T-Krill cycle.
Unfortunate though. All right, well, let's keep moving down questions. Let's go with Coop. I am on an org, but not as a player. Goofy. I need what? All these questions are goofy. I'm just gonna throw this one out for you, Joe, 'cause this is directed at you. And then I actually have another one that we can both do, or everybody can do. When does Toby's Warehouse take over for CRL?
probably tomorrow.
Okay.
To be honest, I think by tomorrow it'll probably be like the #1 Colgate six mans, and we'll probably just start all qualling because we just have great competition every single day.
That's so real. Shout out Toby's Warehouse. It's not what you think it is, listeners. I promise. You'd have to be there. All right, let's go to the next question. All right, Teeehan, back to you. If you had to change interest to a different game, what game would you choose?
Okay.
I wish Spotify could see the facial reactions.
No. Okay. So, does this count? Okay, I'm gonna say Sideswipe.
What?
Wow.
We're not
Do you
counting
not-
that. We're not counting that. That's still
Bro, do
Rocket
you not
League.
know?
That's
Do you
still
not
Rocket
know?
League.
Bruh, I was top 5 in Sideswipe, bruh.
What?
What?
You didn't know this?
Bro, you should have switched games.
Dude, bro, they don't. That's not, bro. It's dead.
No,
Bruh,
dabble
it's
on this.
dead.
Dabble on this.
Hey. Odd flex, but I finished at the. They had a like an RLCS, but for Sideswipe, I finished 5th, 6th in North America.
In solos?
Now doubles.
Who was the teammate?
Actually, he's a player at Shawnee State.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a player there. His name's Fist Guy. He's pretty chill.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it was fun. But if I gotta do something else, dude, I don't know. Oh, Siege. What am I talking about? Siege, bro. All
That's
day.
reasonable. Love Siege.
Yeah. See, I peaked Emerald, but
I'm garbage.
yeah. Hey, UGA got a crazy Siege
We
team,
do.
bro.
Back-to-back
I know
natty champs, baby. Heck
that.
yeah.
Our boys at GMU played them, bro, and it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear that with pride.
True.
That is for a club with no money. I'm very happy that we have some national titles to flex.
No, I
All right,
respect
Joe.
that.
Different game. I guess Sideswipe's in the conversation, so I don't know if your
I
pick is
mean-
that or not.
No, honestly, if it wasn't Rocket League for me, I just wouldn't do video games. Like no other game has ever like captivated me like this game. So I genuinely don't think I could play another game. Every other one I've tried, I just give it up after like a week because I just don't enjoy it. So
That's
for me,
totally
it's
fair.
it's Rocket
Same
League or
boat.
nothing.
Yeah.
Same boat.
Yeah, I kind of do get in weird phases of certain games other than Rocket League. I do
Wait.
get that. It's like a bad
Caden
relationship.
said Fortnite.
Fortnite's
actually-
not a bad pick.
Back in the day, for
Aw.
sure, I would have done Fortnite. But
Yeah.
now,
Now
absolutely not.
Fortnite? Oh nah, dude.
Nah.
Okay, when they brought back the OG Fortnite, I was on that shit.
Oh,
for a
everyone
hot
was.
minute.
Look,
I was
y'all
grinding.
are still sleeping. It's still a solid game.
No,
Nah.
It is the best battle royale out right
There
now.
is
And I will
not-
stand
it's
on
not the
that.
same
PUBG,
game.
PUBG all day. PUBG over Fortnite. all
PUBG
day.
hasn't had anything useful. PUBG is just like Rocket League. Nothing's came out.
But it's still better than Fortnite.
yeah, I don't know about that one.
Yo, chat.
No, we're gonna keep moving. All right, we're gonna start speed firing. What is one org you wish could be in RL Esports? I'm gonna go first. Give me 100 Thieves. All right, Teeehan, goes to you.
What?
One org you wish that was in RL Esports.
See, I would have said Cloud9, but they're back, so I got nothing. I genuinely have nothing.
Joe, do you got one ready to go?
I want Optic back.
Yeah. I'm gonna give Teeehan an answer for him. Fnatic.
What? No, no.
Really? You
They're
I
don't
wouldn't
big
even go
org.
you
that.
don't rock with Fnatic?
I don't know who they are.
One of
Yo,
the
don't.
biggest esports orgs. Like,
He's picking for me. I
all
don't like
right, all
this.
right. Shut this guy up. Shut this guy up. All right. We'll keep speed running. I saw one other goofy question. I was gonna look. I see people talking about Roblox here.
Huh?
I'm not even gonna bother with that.
We're better than that, guys.
All right, let's go to a more serious question then. We'll end after the one after this. So, what do you think it'll take for and this is Albedo's words from Oklahoma. What do you think it will take for the collegiate RL scene to be less goofy? For me, I feel like it will have to be the official integration rather than just clubs with the schools, kind of like OU is. So I'm gonna throw it to Joe first, from another big school to another one.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly agree with them because, like, whether you want to agree with this or not, I don't really care. Like, Rocket League has some of the most normal people out of any game
Amen.
that like don't make Rocket League like their entire life. Uh, so I think to make it less goofy, it really is going to take like oversight from a varsity program that's like, hey, you guys have to be playing this many hours or doing this kind of stuff. And if you don't have that, I think it's just going to keep being goofy. But I prefer it goofy, to be honest.
Reasonable. Teeehan goes to you.
So wait, what do we mean by goofy here, though? Like
Like
not taking it
non-serious.
serious?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a great question. I'm kind of stumped. I mean, the only thing that's coming to mind is just the egos is what kind of
Yeah.
ruins it for a lot of people.
Responsibility is a
that,
big thing to throw in there, and this is where my comment comes from. If you guys were here for the Nebby and Friday episode, I said the exact same thing. It is either varsity sport or club, and there's no in between.
Mm-hmm.
Every school who has both, they don't have a club sport division, and they never were a club sport. It's because being a club sport, and I know at least at the bigger colleges like D2 and up, being a club sport has almost no positives because you don't get enough money, you're still not serious, and then all your members are miserable because they got to pay extremely high fees or something along those lines, and then it's just not worth. And then you still can't pay for, if you're playing in NACE, you can't pay for more than 5 teams at this rate. Shoot, with inflation, I might not even be able to get one team in there. But anyways, regardless of that, it's crazy what collegiate's at.
actually, I got one more answer to that. I
Okay.
would say the only other thing is that if we want Collegiate Rocket League to be taken seriously, it needs to be in person. You got to get rid of this
Yep.
BS with just having people. See, with us being a community college, we're kind of in the gray area where it's like we're not in person, but everyone is a 30-minute drive away. Like, so I don't know
Do y'all
where
compete
your
in
line is.
person at all or no?
Every now and then, yeah.
Okay.
It just depends if it lines up with people's schedules or not. But I will say that the BS of having players play in like Sosa's playing in Canada at a American school. Like that's the biggest red flag to me.
Bro's on a virtual work visa. Yeah.
Quite literally. And I mean, they also just got Justice or whatever his name is, who also just made the regional, by the
Yep.
way. But yeah, with that, and the other thing I would put in there is schools need to be on top of players' academics.
Yep.
The biggest issue we've had is students will go to a school for a semester, play there, not do any school, and just do good in CRL.
And
We've
leave
actually
and
seen that.
restart. Yeah.
Yep, and we've seen that twice now. With national champions, we've seen that with uh, love the dude, but I'm gonna call him out. T. Carell. He started at Winthrop, went to Northwood for a semester, won CRL, and then left instantly, and then went to Harrisburg, where he's at least doing good now. But to just basically go there and just do CRL, that's sketchy. And JD did the same thing at Columbia when they won with, I forgot the Cam, and I forgot who the third was.
Was it Cosmic Flippy?
I don't think it was cosmic. No,
W name.
It was
Sure.
cryptic. It was cryptic.
Cryptic. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But
No, that's the culture of collegiate esports, and that's something that I know that me and many other leaders are trying to finally get over. I think when our generation finally reaches places of power, and maybe there's I can't wait for the day where and I don't think this is crazy for me to say. I think it's crazy for me to toot my own horn here. But I feel like that when I get out of school, and I feel like even when some of y'all get out of school, I feel like there's going to be a lot of collegiate positions waiting for us because collegiate esports isn't going anywhere, regardless of the leagues. There has still been a lot of love in collegiate Rocket League, and it's been incredible to see the community come together. But it's not going anywhere. More schools are finally starting to hop on. One of the biggest ones I've gotten to kind of see firsthand because I have a lot of friends involved is Syracuse. Syracuse, less than a year ago, decided to finally start pouring some money in. They have 3 esport labs on campus.
yep.
3 esport labs, but no scholarships. But they still have kids who are coming to that school because A, it's a big D1 university, which is fun and great education, and they have the support. And if Syracuse can succeed off of that model, I'm very excited to see what some of our Southeastern schools can do with just a fraction of the money. Give us half a lab. I mean, UGA's got like an eighth of a lab right now, and we're still like pulling people together.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting to see. We were going to throw one more question out there, but I'm not reading what the most recent one in chat was. So,
That's
I
fine.
believe other than that, y'all, it's been an absolute pleasure. I am going to give y'all one more chance to kind of say what you want. Joe, I'll throw it to you first. Just some last things before we head off.
Yeah. Just shout out everybody in chat. I see all you guys. Love all you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out Toby's Warehouse, of course, and shout out Toby.
Toby's Warehouse.
Shout out Tyboo Bear. We love you. You don't even really know us yet, but you're gonna love us. And yeah, just shout out my team too. Love those guys.
Aw. All right, Teeehan, goes to you.
Yeah, like Joe said, shout out chat, shout out DJ TJ, W host, hey, make sure to follow, subscribe, do all that. Hey, and then GMU Esports, shout out them. So, but
Heck yeah. Yeah, well, it's been an absolute pleasure having y'all. A big shout out to chat for always showing out. This is the 3rd episode of this podcast, hopefully the 3rd of many. I know that everybody's still trying to view this on Spotify. Don't worry, it'll be published soon. I'm having issues with that because why would I not be? But seriously, other than that, guys, it has been an absolute blast. This has been Third Man with Joe and Teeehan. We will see you all next Sunday. But other than that, thank y'all for supporting as always. Y'all have a great night. Adios.